Jericho. So we are east of Jerusalem, overlooking the wilderness. We're at the site of the Wadi Kilt, which is a valley running through the wilderness. And as you can see, there's really nothing out here. It's an incredible sight, almost surreal. There's absolutely nothing in the wilderness, just brown everywhere and hills. Absolutely nothing. Imagine the daily miracles the Israelites experienced of walking through this and being provided for. There's really no resources out here. The provision of God really is amazing. It was on a road like this where a man lay dying, serious injuries. There were two people who walked by, and they were too busy with church work to stop and help him. And then a Samaritan, one whom was thought of as unclean, not worthy, among the people of Israel, stopped to help him, and he took him in, paid for him to have a place to stay, took care of him. As we are supposed to do today. Can you imagine laying in this wilderness? And I mean, not many people would come by, just dying, and somebody stops to help you. We need to be that person for others. I'm standing on one side of Herod's palace at New Testament Jericho, and I'm panning across the Wadi Kilt. He built it on both sides of this valley. And we're still at New Testament Jericho, and this is the road from Jericho to Jerusalem, the Jericho road where Jesus healed blind Bartimaeus, and you read about that at the end of Mark chapter 10. So we're at the old city of Jericho, and this is known to be the oldest city in the world. We know this because there is a Neolithic tower that you'll see in just a few seconds that dates back to 7,000 or 8,000 BC. And what I'm focusing in on right now is the possible location of the Elisha Spring, and this is what causes such great fertility in the area of Jericho. And you notice just already the change in landscape and vegetation, especially compared to the wilderness where we just were. Now I'm panning over the city, and you can see just how lush this area is. This is the location of that Neolithic tower that dates back to between 7,000 and 8,000 BC. And there was a circular staircase going up inside of the tower, going up to the tower, which demonstrates that people were not dumb. To construct a tower like that took some major engineering and design. This is the burial place of the prophet Samuel. So we're on the top of the location of the church marking Samuel's burial.
Prophecy is very little about foretelling the future. It is a great deal of what is God has to say to you right now.
And if you recall the story of the Levite and his concubine, and then the people of taking the concubine, raping her and killing her. This is where that story took place. This is also where King Hussein's unfinished palace is. This is a church at Eilan Park, which is the possible location of Emmaus, which we read about in Luke 24.
And this is where Cleopas and possibly his wife were traveling on the road, and Jesus appeared to them and explained the scriptures to them. And then he sat down and broke bread with them. And in that act, he recognized them, Cleopas and whoever was with him, recognized Jesus. And they said, "Didn't our hearts burn within us as we walked on the road?" And he explained the scripture.
I'm standing at the location of Gezer, Gezer right now, and this was an extremely important location for the Israelites to hold because it overlooks the Ayalon Valley, an extremely wide valley in Israel that as you can see far off into the distance. So it was important for defending the city.
This is the gate Solomon, so the gate that Solomon built to Gezer, and in 1 Kings 9:15 it talks about fortifying Hazor, Megiddo, and Gezer. And so the gate that you see here is similar to the gates at those other two cities, and you actually can see what it might have looked like right here. Again, this was a very important city in protecting Israel, and especially protecting Jerusalem because of the Ayalon Valley and how broad that was. This is some statues of remembrance at Gezer. We don't really know what this is commemorating. It's probably commemorating several things because this city was under Canaanite control and Egyptian control and Israelite control. But I think the significant thing here is that God is constantly calling his people to remember his faithfulness and what he has done for them. So this is an example of what some of this might look like. For example, the stones of remembrance when the Israelites crossed the Jordan River and took Jericho. So it's significant that God is constantly calling us to